and I see I'm replying on behalf of the veterans and the guests. And I think from what our host said, what his aim is to create an old-fashioned wild partridge shoot in this rather lovely countryside bordering on Rutland and Leicestershire, which I'm eminently familiar with, as I am a Leicestershire man, of course, and I had the privilege of commanding the Royal Air Force Station at Cottesmore just up the road, some considerable time ago. But I'm sure from what I've seen today that the aim of creating a beautiful shoot here will be achieved, and because it is apparent to someone like myself who has shot here and there over the years, and that sort of thing, knows, I think, a little bit about it, is that the companionship and the atmosphere and the comradeship are all important. The dogs are perhaps the next important thing, and the bag is the least important of all. And the friendliness, the friendship, and the country life is apparent for all to see today. And congratulations to you all, everybody, for getting this thing off to such a very good start. May I say also that what a pleasure it has to me to be shooting with Sir Andrew, who was the Lord Lieutenant of Leicestershire for many years, and I was one of his deputy lieutenants when I lived in Leicestershire, until he found me out and banished me to Derbyshire. we had some jolly good times together, which I look back on with. We had a very good team of your deputies, didn't we? First class. I wasn't always in the Air Force, you may be surprised to learn. Before the war I learned to fly, and I applied to join an auxiliary squadron not so very far from here, in a neighbouring county. They were county squadrons, rather like the territorial associations, territorial regiments. And I presented myself, and I should have known better really, because the commanding officer was a master of foxhounds. Apart from being the commanding officer of the auxiliary flying squadron, he was a master of foxhounds. So he said to me, now, you can fly, can you? I said, yes, I have learned to fly at the flying club, and I don't understand how. He said, I see you come from Melton Mowbray. And I said, yes, I live at Melton Mowbray. He said, well, with whom do you hunt, he said. And I paused a little while, and he said, I mean, you live in Melton Mowbray, do you hunt with the Corn or the Cottesmore or the Fanny or the South Notts or whatever? And I said, no, in fact, don't hunt. And he said, you don't hunt? I said, no, because all my money goes on learning to fly, you see, sir. Well, he said, okay, well, he said, we'll be writing to you, we'll let you know. And of course, he never did. I mean, that's, I think, because I didn't hunt. So I came home, and because we knew in those days that in the 30s or the late 30s, we knew that war was imminent, and everybody, sort of young man, was in something or other, all of my rugby club, nearly 90 strong. We were in the Volunteer Reserve or the Merchant Navy Reserve or the Artist Rifles, or everyone's in something. Because our philosophy was we'd rather be, when the war came, which we knew it would come, we would rather do something we knew and be with our friends rather than be called up in just a number. So when I couldn't get into the Air Force, I joined the Leicestershire Yeomanry and was in the Melton Mowbray Squadron, and we went to camp. I was a trooper, I think that's the lowest form of life in the cavalry squadrons. And we went to camp in 1939 at Burley Park, 600 strong on our horses. And we were out on manoeuvres one day, and the lieutenant who commanded would it be a platoon in there, or would it be a troop? Troop. Well, there were about 8 of us anyway. And he said to me, now, we all carried a part of a Lewis gun, you see. And the idea was that we all dismounted from our horses, except one chap who remained on his horse, and held all the other buggers. And then everybody disappeared up the ditch, and they assembled the Lewis gun and got on with whatever they were going to do, you see. So they all got off their horses, including me, and he said, Johnson, he said, you get on your horse, he said, because, he said, you're the horse handler. So I said, what does that mean? He said, well, you bloody well stay here and all these horses. three either side, and my in the middle, you see, until I sent for it. I said, yes, thank you very much, sir. And so they all disappeared up in the ditch and got on with it. About 2 hours later, I don't know whether you've ever tried it, three aside, have you? Sitting still on the horse for 2 hours. So when someone came back and said, the lieutenant wants the horses up there, I said, well, we're canted along and see what's three either side. And I was actually in sort of an inverted V, you know, the other three on either side were leading me. And so the thing took place next day. We all went off, and I got off my horse, and the lieutenant said, what have you got off your horse for, Johnson? I said, well, he said, you were a horse handler. And I said, well, I was a horse handler yesterday, sir. I said, I'd rather like to go up the ditch and risk on the rest of the chaps. He said, as far as I'm concerned, Johnson, he said, you was a bloody permanent horse handler. So fortunately, the Royal Air Force, or the Royal Air Force Volunteer Reserve was expanded, and I was able to join them and get into the Air Force. And actually, on September the 1st, when we were all called up, I received 2 calling up papers because I'd forgotten to resign from a Leicestershire Yeoman. And I think anyway my father put it right. I wasn't actually posted as a deserter. I think that if I could just be serious for a moment, I think that in the Battle of Britain time we had the most tremendous leadership from Dowding downwards, I suppose from Churchill downwards. I mean, we all sort of stopped and listened to Churchill's speeches, whatever time they were, during those dark days. And we had this inspiring leadership, and we had a very good leader in Dowding himself, who was a man of high integrity and great moral courage and that sort of thing. The leadership, I think, came down the line through a very simple chain of command to the squadrons and produced a very high morale. A high morale, which is a very priceless pearl, and I think was one of the great factors in the winning of the Battle of Britain. And I think, gentlemen, that when our turn came in 1940, and perhaps later on, in not only the Royal Air Force, but the British Armed Services, the Army and the Royal Navy, I think when our turn came, we like to think that we perhaps had learned something from you gentlemen of the first contest in the First War against the same foe. A pox on them, by the way. I think we've learned the values of dedication and courage and comradeship and leadership and morale from you gentlemen in the first contest, and we like to think that we didn't let the side down when our time came along in those days. Thank you.